What's up, y'all? My name is Andre Hopkins, also known as Andre Interview, and today I'm joined here by Sentinels' new head coach, Ewok. How are you doing today?
Not as good as I would have hoped, to be honest,
Yeah.
after that. But yeah, doing all right.
All right, well, we'll just hop right into it. So I want to ask first question, with the unfortunate situation of Jerrwin not being able to make it, how much time did you guys have to practice with Victor, and how did that affect the game plan?
We tried to give enough time because we had a heads up that it most likely won't be ready for Jerrwin, so we were practicing from Monday. So I guess we had 4 days, Monday to Thursday. So we had some time to be able to adjust, and then of course there's been the meta changes and everything, so had to adjust for Victor as well and adjust some of our things.
Did Was Victor on Rays just because of the whole on the first map of Lotus? Was that just because of comfortability and him being new and just putting on something he's used to?
Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff that we can run, and we've tested quite a couple different stuff actually. So yeah, for him, comfortability, he's played a lot of race.
Okay. Next question. So transitioning from coaching and then to the desk and back to coaching, is there any sort of like rust it feels like you have to shake off, not just this game, but before, like how players talk about having to?
Yeah, maybe of course I think there's maybe more rust just because of like everything's different, like new arena and everything, and new team as well. So I think the more I'll get used to them, the more efficient I can get with timeouts as well and get everything going. But for me, it doesn't really faze me that the game is the same game. The surroundings just a little bit different.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. How's it been just being able to come over to the Americas region, coach here?
It's been good. The remote was awful though. The upside down sleep schedule for 3 weeks basically, or almost a month, was not great. But I'm glad to be here. I'm also been just here for a week and a half now probably. So yeah, it's much better to be in person, and the facility at SEN is really nice. So for us to all able to have just conversations around is really good. Outside of just even practice, we can just talk about the game whenever.
How is remote coaching? Do you have to change how you coach when you're not in person with the team?
Yeah, it's harder to build that connection, especially if it's a new team. But I feel like we've been getting on very well so far, getting to know the personalities, because for me as a coach, I need to know you as a person and as a player, which is two separate things most of the time. So for me, I need to understand in terms of how I need to handle each personality and each player. So being in person, of course, is much better than remote. Doing that remote is very difficult because you're not spending as much time, whether you're eating lunch, whether you're just talking after practice, is much more difficult. Remote, and of course, a lot of human interaction is body language. So that's a huge difference, of course.
Okay. So in this game against Crew, who you haven't really had the chance to see them play with all their visa issues they have, how does that affect the game planning going in? Is it you just follow your own game plan, or is it just trying something else?
Yeah, of course, we need to focus more on ourselves for this one. One of my strengths, I do feel like, is on the anti-side, and of course we can't use too much of that, having them playing their first game as well, not being able to attend kickoff. So yeah, I think the situation is a little bit complicated. But I think for them, of course, they came into it dry as well, right? So there's no excuse from our side in terms of, yeah, this is their first game on stage together as a team as well. They've just been practicing. Of course, they had a long time to practice, but there's been some meta changes and they're in a similar boat and had to adjust. So for us, it's just about building more reps right now.
How does it change trying to, because with you coming in and with all the team changes and everything, how much time did you have actually with the full 5 to practice before this game?
Well, with Vic, it's since Monday, right? And with Jerrwin, we had a little bit more than 2 weeks of trials. So technically, I guess we only had a week and a half before that. Maybe around a little bit more than 2 weeks now of prac, which with 2 big balance changes as well. That definitely makes the practice, or some of the practice that we did, becomes irrelevant in terms of comp stuff. But just general conversations that we can talk about macro, those things are still relevant and we can still learn from, yeah.
Did any of the outside rumors of, TenZ and anything like that, did that ever have any adverse effects on the team, or was it just a kind of outside noise that was ignored?
I think that the players kind of found it funny. Of course, it's open knowledge already with the trial TenZ, and there wasn't a possibility there. So of course it wasn't even necessarily is Jerrwin. A lot of people were going on about like you guys are like a lot of fans are just kind of a little bit overzealous, of course, and excited to see TenZ back. And then Jerrwin gets some unnecessary hate for that reason as well, where the two of them are not a head-to-head and straight comparison either. They play different roles. Jerrwin is much more of a dive duelist and is someone that we feel like fits our team well in terms of the role that he plays. But for him, of course, there's an adjustment to us, where we have experienced players, 2 experienced players on the roster, and then 2 that are a little bit more new. So, of course, Jerrwin's doing a lot of adjusting as well. But for him, a lot of the time, he's playing his normal entry role.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see him play. I mean, he's always been a phenomenal player. So I can't wait to see him be able to get onto the stage with the team.
Yeah.
So with Breeze having changes since the last time you were coaching and coming back into the map pool, is there anything you like about the map change that like drove you to pick it today?
I think the map's a little bit more simple without holes. But we do feel like we have a pretty good understanding of how to play the map. We had a lot of man-up advantages and certain rounds that we should convert that we didn't. Even on the defense side, the moment we got the operator out, I feel like they didn't really have an answer for it. And then we made a mistake on backside on A. And then from there, it just makes it a little bit difficult if you can't get the op out. And then last round they go B when we should have been ready. So for us, it's a map that we feel comfortable. And right now, we just feel comfortable with the map pool. Yeah.
Was there any chance we saw Cortezia on the first map with Vito pull out the operator on the attack side, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Is there any chance we'll be able to see more of that, or is that kind of just can't really say much about it?
Yeah, I think it's something that teams need to be aware of and potentially prepare for against, because he might be peeking you with the operator real soon.
All right. Next question here. So this is a fan question. So coming into the team, of course, with the coach change, what's the thing you tried to change, or one of the few things, or however many, of course, that you try to change between kickoff and stage 1 with the team?
Of course, we have a bit of a different roster, little bit less experience on the team. Of course, we plus Jonah with a lot of experience, but we lose some as well in Bang and, in terms of Caillou and Narrate, which are experienced players as well in their own right. So there's a little bit less experience also with Jerrwin, his first time as well. So for us, it's getting up to speed and getting everyone comfortable. And then also I want to there's a lot of things that I want to change and that will need some time for us to be able to adjust to as well. And so far, the boys have been showing good improvement week to week. But right now, it's just we need to just get as many reps as possible.
What does the veteran presence of a player like Jonah bring into the team in terms of like, does he help with mental or game planning or anything like that?
Yeah, he's has a player with really strong mental. Like today, pretty unfortunate he didn't really get to warm up. He had a mouse issue and he never kind of showed it to his teammates. He didn't make them feel worried for him or anything. So I think that's something that's also from a little bit more experienced players. They've gone through more things before, and they know that how it can potentially affect themselves and affect teammates as well. So he's a stable figure in the team, and then also just a general good guy and someone good to hang out with outside of the game as well. So I think that as a human, he's just a really good teammate.
Okay, and then next fan question here. So moving from Pacific to North America, the Americas region, is there any differences in teams' composition style or play style that you've noticed?
Pacific is probably a little bit more aggressive, but especially with the Korean teams also transitioning to being more aggressive as well, where traditionally the Korean teams were the slow teams, the slow and methodical teams, and they have gone over the last 2 years basically since Gen.G. Their success been more aggressive, and the Korean teams have kind of learned from them. You see Nongshim is one of the most aggressive teams. So I think just a lot of aggression in general. I think probably the main thing, which is a huge difference, is the practice quality that you can get. In Pacific, we can scrim with Chinese teams, and we can scrim with SEA teams, Tier 2, just in APAC. And here we have a lot less options. So for us to be able to improve at the rate that I would like us to is a little bit more difficult just because of the quality of scrims that we can get, and potentially you need to play the same opponent, or just not as many options as we have in Pacific before.
Okay. I want to ask also, with you coming over, of course, um, what did you bring coaching mentality wise? Is there anything new you brought over mentality wise that the team hadn't thought of before from Pacific to Americas?
Mentality wise, we'll have to see a little bit more with matches. I'm also trying to, it's a both way where I'm trying to adjust to them and they're trying to adjust to me. A lot of the stuff I feel like I'm bringing is on the macro side and the strategic side. And then I feel like on the mental side is something that we just continuously need to work on, and that you can never be perfect on that side. So that's something that is not a specific of a Pacific or Americas. It's just something that's a general Valorant player, a competitive player that we need to improve on and work on daily.
Okay. And then how do you feel going into the upcoming game you guys have against 100 Thieves?
Excited to play against them. I think it's a good opportunity for us to show strength. We have a little bit more time left as well. I think we're playing next Sunday, I believe, so we have a little bit more time to prepare for that one, which is much needed. As of right now, it's a team that, of course, there's a rivalry as well there with Sentinels, so we definitely will try hard to make sure that we can beat them and get the win. And I think just overall the guys are excited to play against them as well.
And then do you have any last words for fans of Sentinels or fans of just you in general?
For me, it's I'm very understanding in terms of if there's negative comments right now and a lot of maybe question marks over the roster in general, or us as a team, or maybe even me. But for Sen City, I'm asking you guys just for a little bit of patience and trust in me and in the team, that with more and more time we'll be able to improve. It's something where I back my own ability to be able to build rosters and also improve them over time. So that's something that right now it's for us a work in progress. And really for us, it's not like we're just looking too far ahead. For us, it's just right now game to game improvement, and we're trying to bring wins as fast as possible.
All right. And then, anybody who is questioning his ability, just go check his VLR, check those RRQ results. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time here, and good luck in a state run.
Thank you very much.
With 100 Thieves.
Thank you.